Stay connected with the world through WION. Like the page on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter for new alerts. Instagram for videos and images. And the website for the latest news, views, and analysis. WIONews.com. World is one.
Hello everyone and welcome to WION Live Broadcast from New York City. I'm Susan Tehrani. First, let's get a look at this hour's latest headlines. Moscow bans drone flights. Kremlin says it has shot down 2 drones launched by Ukraine, accuses Kyiv of attempting to kill President Vladimir Putin, and says it reserves the right to retaliate. A 14-year-old opens fire at other students and the school guard at a school in the Serbian capital Belgrade. He kills 9 people and injures several others. The Serbian police have arrested the teen suspect who has reportedly had used his father's gun to commit the carnage. More than 100 arrested as German and Italian police crack down on Italy's Ndrangheta organization crime group. The suspects are accused of smuggling, money laundering, fraud, and weapons trade. U.S. oil prices drops below $70 a barrel on recession fears. It's the first time the U.S. benchmark oil contract traded under the $70 mark since OPEC Plus cut output a month back. And the Rwanda Red Cross says that at least 100 people are killed in flooding and mudslides caused by heavy rains in southern Rwanda. Roads blocked due mudslides hamper rescue efforts. In a major news development, there has been a failed attempt to assassinate Russian President Vladimir Putin, or so claims Russia. Moscow says it shot 2 drones down that were on its way to kill the Russian president. Since the failed alleged attempt to assassinate Putin, the city of Moscow has now banned drone flights in the area. Earlier this week, another report was filed by a media house that stated that Ukrainian Secret Service attempted to assassinate Putin with a drone, but the attack failed when the drone crashed before reaching its target. The Ukrainian forces reportedly launched the UJ-22 drone laden with 17 kilograms of C4 plastic explosives. The drone flew from Ukraine with the aim of reaching a newly built industrial estate near Moscow, which Putin was due to visit. Surprisingly, it managed to cross the border without being detected by Russia's air defense system. But before the deadly drone could reach the Rudnevo Industrial Park on its alleged mission to take out the Russian leader, it crashed mere kilometers away from the site. This, according to a tweet by Ukrainian activist Yuri Romanenko, who claimed to have close ties to Kyiv's intelligence services, which was picked up by the media as well. He alleges that Ukrainian Secret Service agents received information about Putin's apparent trip to the industrial site. After that, they decided to launch the deadly drone in an attempt to assassinate the Russian president. Okay, well, let's head on to Russia. For more on this, we are joined by Fred Ware from the Russian capital, Moscow. Fred is a journalist and political commentator. Fred, welcome to WION. Wow, what a story. This alleged assassination attempt on the life of Russian President Vladimir Putin. Russia says that Ukraine was responsible. Can you tell us what the latest is from Moscow? And in your opinion, how could it respond after these accusations towards Ukraine?
Well, you summarized it pretty well. Two drones apparently flew all the way to Moscow and arrived right near the Kremlin, which is the heart, the political heart of Moscow. And we've seen the video of one of them hitting the dome of the presidential palace, which is underneath which is Putin's office. It didn't seem to be a big explosion. It seemed to be just the thing hit. And so the Kremlin does claim that air defenses and perhaps electronic countermeasures worked to disable the thing. But still, it's pretty breathtaking attack. And as I say, it hit one of Putin's offices. So, and it is, I think, mainly a psychological operation on the part of the Ukrainians. It's clearly the Ukrainians who did it, and the Russians would not, voluntarily give themselves a black eye like that. I think you can rely on that. So, and it's probably intended to strike fear, to disrupt the May 9th holiday, which is coming up. It's Victory Day. There's meant to be a big military parade on Red Square, which is just adjacent to where that drone hit. So I think that's it. It's the Ukrainians trying to bring the war home to Russians and perhaps to Putin personally. What Russians can do in response.
You talk about this. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Okay. That I don't know, because the war is going at full crank right now. The only thing I can think of that they might do in retaliation is try to attack Zelensky personally. That would be extremely unwise, because like this, I don't think it will have, this attack on the Kremlin, I don't think will have the effect of frightening Russians or Putin. And an attack on Zelensky would likewise just draw people closer around him and heighten the amount of sympathy that he gets around the world.
Do you think that this was a major security breach, considering the fact that the two drones flew undetected deep inside Russian territory? I mean, how did they get that far?
Yeah, well, it's happened before, and it just is the case that the sky is big, very big. You're located in the United States, and didn't you have all these balloons flying over your heads recently, and nobody saw them until. So the sky is just full of objects, and I think that's why the Moscow authorities banned the use of civilian drones to clear the airspace around Moscow for air defense radars to work better. But yes, it's a security breach. The Russians can't be happy with it, and they'll probably be tightening the screws in the next few days, especially in the days leading up to the Victory Day parade.
Yeah, that's such an interesting point about that parade and instilling fear. But how does Russia respond to Ukraine saying that it wasn't us, we had nothing to do with this drone attack, and look somewhere else, we had nothing to do with it? How do you think Russia could respond to something like this?
I don't think that's credible or that anybody believes it. The Ukrainians routinely say that, don't they? When they strike inside of Russia, they throw up their hands and say, we don't know who did this. I think that's mainly for Western consumption, because it's people in the West who are nervous about Ukraine striking on Russian territory. And the Americans, I think, repeatedly say that and deny long-range missiles and such to Ukraine to prevent them from doing that. So I think it's mainly they're facing West and saying we didn't do it, or we don't know who did it. Something coy. They don't deny they did it, and I think we can pretty much assume that they definitely did.
Yeah, absolutely. And exactly, you said what I was thinking. The United States is now going to definitely think twice, and NATO allies as well, when Ukraine is asking for those fighter jets, although, none have been provided. But this was one of America and its allies' main concern, that Ukraine would ultimately target inside of Russia. But then you have all this new technology with the drones and everything. Fred Weir, thank you so much for joining us and helping us make some sense of this extraordinary story, is the best way I can describe it. I look forward to speaking to you again very soon.
Thank you.
So the United States is a superpower. It's the world's biggest economy. It also has the most powerful military. Its power permeates beyond its borders. But is Washington losing the trust of its allies? Well, 3 of its allies, namely Ukraine, Turkey, and Israel, are taking an aim at the Biden administration. Here's why.
America is one of the most powerful nations in the world. It has one of the biggest militaries. It dominates global military spending. It spends more on its defense than the next 10 countries combined. And with a military so strong, Washington exercises a say in geopolitics. But as dynamics change and the world order witnesses changes, it seems that many of America's allies are losing their confidence in the superpower. US investigators are probing one of the most damaging leaks of classified information since the 2013 dump of National Security Agency documents by Edward Snowden. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky says the US did not warn Ukraine about the top-secret documents leaked to the internet chat rooms before the news broke in the media last month. He told the Washington Post, "We did not receive any information from the White House or Pentagon beforehand." The embarrassing breach, which includes top-secret documents, reportedly reveals the US unease over the viability of a counter-offensive by Kyiv's forces against the Russian troops. It had details of losses and casualties. It even tears down the Ukrainian Air Force in its analysis. Zelensky did not confirm the leaks, but expressed his disappointment that if the enemy comes to know of their flaws before then it definitely stands a minus for Ukraine. With Zelensky's desperate trust in the US going weak, what the report did was that it confirmed a decades-long belief that the US snoops on its allies. Another key American ally is Turkey, which will soon head to polls amid water issues, a weak economy, a devastating earthquake, and claims of autocracy. a new angle has made it to the news, and it involves the US. A close Erdogan ally and Interior Minister Süleyman Soylu has claimed the AK party faces an external threat, not a domestic one. He has blamed the US for staging a political coup in Turkey, based on Biden's old statement where he called for strengthening the opposition. Lastly, we have the biggest ally and partner who has lately been witnessing a rather rocky relationship with the US. Israel is at the center of public fury. For months now, millions of Israelis have been protesting against the Netanyahu coalition's judicial reform plans. And in the middle of that, Israel's Justice Minister Yariv Lemon accused the Biden administration of cooperating with the protest movement against Netanyahu. Reports say that while speaking at a meeting with political analysts, Levin said that the protest movement has total control of the press and a hold on the court, the AG, and the entire financial system, and the US administration which cooperates with them. However, he clarified that he believes the Americans are doing this out of a true belief and not that someone is operating them. The list of allies is long. US is slowly losing the confidence of its aides. Saudi Arabia, a key American ally in West Asia, has already started following its independent foreign policy, straying away from the US favoring terms. The question is, how many more will follow and how soon? Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
The Biden administration has decided to temporarily send additional troops to help secure the U.S.-Mexico border. Authorities are preparing for a possible rise in illegal migration when Title 42 COVID-19 border restrictions are lifted later this month. The forces will be in addition to an ongoing deployment of about 2,500 National Guard troops. But what's noteworthy and unusual is that these new troops are being deployed from the Pentagon. Sending U.S. soldiers to the border has been controversial. Just one of the many questions being asked is whether the administration is militarizing the Mexico frontier instead of just securing the U.S. border. Government officials, however, deny that case. Here's a report.
With experts anticipating a huge surge in migrants this month coming to the U.S., President Joe Biden's administration said Tuesday it will temporarily send 1,500 troops to help secure the U.S.-Mexico border. Pentagon spokesman Pat Ryder.
For 90 days, these 1,500 military personnel who will be sourced from the active duty component will fill critical capability gaps, such as ground-based detection and monitoring, data entry, and warehouse support until CPB can address these needs through contracted support. Military personnel will not directly participate in law enforcement activities.
The increase in border resources, adding to the 2,500 National Guard troops already there, comes as Trump-era COVID-19 restrictions, known as Title 42, are set to end on May 11th. The policy had allowed U.S. authorities to rapidly expel non-Mexican migrants to Mexico without the chance to seek asylum. Biden, who is running for re-election, already has grappled with record numbers of migrants caught illegally crossing the border during his tenure and has taken criticism from all sides. Republicans have blasted Biden for rolling back Trump's hardline policies, while Democrats and immigration activists have lashed out over what they see as Biden's toughening approach to border security. U.S. military troops have been used to help secure the border during previous administrations, including under President Bush and Obama. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre on Tuesday went so far as to call such deployments a common practice. But some in the president's own party were not on board. Senator Bob Menendez, a Democrat and chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, said Biden's decision to send troops to the border was unacceptable, and accused the president of trying to score political points.
UK's security minister says that his forces are ready for King Charles' coronation. This after a man was arrested over suspicious behavior outside Buckingham Palace in London. The UK security minister said the police present at the scene reacted quickly, describing the force's behavior as incredibly professional. He added months of preparation is invested for this historic event, as it is expected to attract large crowds. Meanwhile, across the UK, people are ready to witness King Charles' coronation. Some royal fans are camping near Buckingham Palace while braving chilly overnight temperatures.
We are all excited to come and see what is going on, to see our first king after the death of his mom, our queen. So we are all here. I came last night. Annie was here early in the morning, but we were able to sleep on the grass. I'm so cold, that's why I can see, so I don't feel, I can't.
UK and royal officials are not leaving a stone unturned to make the event a perfect one. For the first time, the public will be invited to swear allegiance to the monarch and to his heirs and successors. Around 2,200 guests will attend the event inside Westminster Abbey, which is very low in comparison to the 8,000 in attendance for Queen Elizabeth's coronation back in 1953. The preparations for the coronation are going on strong. The clothes, as we said, are already done, and London is being fortified. In this report, our senior correspondent, Molly Gambier, brings you the latest on the security for the big event, direct from London.
A man was arrested outside Buckingham Palace, where I am right now, here in London, after throwing suspected shotgun cartridges into the palace grounds. A controlled explosion was carried out following the incident. The man was arrested. Police saying that he was searched. A knife was found, but no gun was found. And at this point, as per reports, the incident is not being treated as terror-related. Now, this comes just days before the King's coronation, which is scheduled for the 6th of May. Overnight rehearsals for the ceremony continued as scheduled, and the King and Queen Consort were not at Buckingham Palace. They were at Clarence House nearby, which is where they stay. This, of course, coming at a time when arrangements have been made across London, and this is an area which will remain heavily fortified in the run-up to the coronation ceremony, which is going to be taking place on the 6th of May, which is going to be attended by world leaders, politicians, and royals from across the world. Molly Gambhir reporting for WION World is One from London.